Hey guys, so last Sunday I shot a video that ultimately I didn't put up because I wasn't totally happy with how it turned out, along with some other complications. And it was a response kind of to the videos Matt has been putting out. He's been putting out a couple that have been talking about the church. I kind of wanted to take the premise of that and do my own thing with it. So I'm doing a video about the church now. And when I mean church, I'm talking about like the Christian church. My experience has been in Protestant, kind of Bible Belt, kind of more Southern Baptist-y type of churches. Although I'm in a non-denominational one now. You know, it's clear that people's interest in church has been waning over the past couple decades, and I think that's clear because of a couple reasons. You know, disenfranchisement from the church. I feel like the church has not really been stepping up in some of its social aspects, but also there's just obviously there's some hypocrisy going on in any church, and so obviously some people get burnt. But when you're talking about the church as a whole, what are some of the main issues and stuff that you need to face to keep the church relevant? So I came up with 4 problems I see in the church that I kind of want to just briefly shout out. And I'm going to try to keep this video as simple as possible because it was in the elaboration of last week's video that I kind of felt like I missed the point. So the first thing that I think the church has a problem with is, so there are 2 extremes. There is the you have to pretend to be perfect side, and then there is on the opposite, we embrace faults so much that we don't actually try to fix faults. And I feel like that side is very much a response to the be a good churchy person, have it together because you're in church, which is ridiculous and the exact opposite of why we should be going to church. On the other hand, when we are so invested in being honest about our faults, I feel like we use that to justify them. And we can then, when we're being honest about certain faults, kind of hide other faults that maybe need to be addressed more so. The second one is pretty simple, and I think it's one of the biggest problems we're facing, is don't be entitled. I feel like because Christianity has been the status quo for a rather long time in this country, and is no longer the status quo, I feel like we've kind of lost the point of the values of the church, and we have kind of just been like, these are good values because they are our values. But of course, there's a reason why we do those things, and if there isn't a reason, then why are we doing them? And I think if we're going to have open dialogues with people, and if we're going to try to talk to people and in some cases evangelize with people, you definitely can't be like that. You can't be an entitled person who just expects someone to believe what you believe because you believe it. The third one is to be open. Now this is obvious, right? We need to be open of people of different walks of life, of different races and ethnicities and nationalities, and we very much can get into very comfortable pigeonholes, like this is this genre of church and this is this genre of church. But I feel like we need to be open within ourselves. So, like, I think it's a lot easier to deal with those problems of, like, oh, we are a church that's bigoted in this manner, if we also don't accept, like, people from a church with a different tradition and worship style. You know, if you're a more traditional church and you kind of don't want to kind of ease into more contemporary worship, or if you are, if you're from like one tradition of this religious practice and there starts to be an interest in practicing that slightly differently, not non-biblically, but just in a slightly different manner. Like, I feel like we can easily fall into this thing of, if we aren't open to ourselves, and if we can't be open to ourselves and expanding who we are within, then how are we going to be able to do that without, or in the outside world? And finally, the fourth is to be challenging. I feel like a big problem with people have with the church is that it is a lot of times it is a way to make people comfortable. And there are a lot of different ways to make people comfortable and make people happy and justify the way people see the world. But that's not what the church is supposed to be. The church is supposed to be a place that helps you grow. And it's supposed to be a way that kind of goes against some of the common thought. I don't think it should be, like this anarchist, like revolutionary force, but I do feel like it should be a thing that it holds itself to values, and we get very caught up in like focusing mainly on maintaining our own level of comfort, and we don't want to go outside of that. What's the point of being a part of a community if a community doesn't help you grow? And that's for any community, right? But especially the church, because that's a core foundation of what the church is built on. It is a place that helps you change and helps you become a better person. So those are my 4 problems I kind of see with the modern church, and things that I think that we need to work this. And obviously this doesn't apply to every church. These are just kind of patterns I've seen. If you want to kind of take this topic and run with it, maybe talk about something more like what Matt talked about in his blogs, or maybe do something completely different, I'd love to see this conversation evolve. But until next time, goodbye.